Shalom Chavarim. We continue this week with Matthew chapter 20. For the kingdom of Shamayim is likened to a man, the master of a house, who went out in the morning to hire laborers for his vineyard. And he bargained with the laborers for a denarius per day. And he sent them to his vineyard. And he went out in the third hour and saw others who were standing in the marketplace and were idle. And he said to them, Go also to the vineyard, and I will give you what is right. And they departed. And he went out again in the 6th and 9th hour, and did the same. And towards the 11th hour he went out and found others who were standing and were idle, and said to them, Why are you standing all day and idle? They said to him, Because no man has hired us. He said to them also, Go to the vineyard, and you will receive what is right. And when it became evening, the master of the vineyard said to his steward, Call the laborers and give them their wages, and begin from the last, and proceed to the first. And those of the 11th hour came, and each received a denarius. And when the first came, they hoped that they would receive more, and they each also received a denarius. And when they received it, they argued against the master of the house. And they said, These last ones worked 1 hour, and you made them equal with us, who bore the burden of the day and its heat. Then he answered and said to one of them, My friend, I did not wrong you. Was it not a denarius you bargained with me for? Take yours and go. I but desire that to this last one I give as you. So there's a lesson in here. It's about expectations. So the early workers essentially had a contract. They agreed on the wage, and there was a lot of work. So he kept hiring people and paid them all equally for whatever work they did for that day. Verse 15. Or is it not lawful for me to do that which I desire to do with my own? Or is your eye evil because I am good? 184. Equality and justice are the universal domains of Mashiach for the common good of all, but the servant in this case judges according to self-interest. See Acts 11:17, 2 Peter 1:1, 1 Corinthians 12:25, and 2 Corinthians 8:14. So Mashiach gives equality and justice for the common good of all. So one application of this is expectation of retirement benefits. If we're expecting the government to take care of us, and we haven't prepared ourselves, well, that's our problem. Verse 16, Thus will the last be first and the first last. For many are those that are called and few that are chosen. And Yeshua was about to go up to Jerusalem, that's Jerusalem, and he took his 12 disciples alone on the road and said to them, Behold, we are going up to Jerusalem, and the Son of Man will be delivered to the chief priests and to the scribes, and they will condemn him to death. And they will deliver him to the Gentiles, and they will mock him, and they will beat him, and they will execute him on a stake. Okay, footnote 185 is very important. The upright stake was foreshadowed by the pole which Moshe held up in Numbers 21:8 and 9. The brass serpent was put upon the pole, and when the people looked upon it, they were preserved from the deadly venom of the snake. So it is that when people are bitten by the spiritual serpent of Genesis 3:15, they must look to Mashiach for healing and deliverance. The pole was replaced by the cross, which was formerly the symbol of the Babylonian sun god. Julius Caesar and his heir struck coins with symbols of the cross, solar wheel, to commemorate the sun god. The Roman Emperor Constantine was a sun worshipper who became a famous Christian, advancing pagan Christianity throughout the Roman Empire. His version of Christianity included many pagan rituals, including Sunday, Tammuz, Christmas, and Ishtar, Easter worship. The Greek stauros also denotes an upright stake. The verb staurou means to drive stakes. The Greek zulon denotes a timber or a log or any piece of dead wood. Bullinger's Companion Bible notes, our English word cross is the translation of the Latin crux, but the Greek stauros no more means a crux than the word stick means a crutch. See Paul, the Standard and Appendix. Numbers 21, verse 8, and said Yahweh to Moses, make to you a fiery serpent and set it on a pole, Nes, on a standard. And it shall be that everyone who is bitten, and when he looks at it, it and shall live. So made Moses a serpent bronze and put it on a pole. So it was, if had bitten a serpent, anyone, and when he looked at unto the serpent bronze, and he lived. Continuing, and he will rise on the third day. Then the mother of the sons of Zodi came to him, and she and her sons worshipped him, and was asking him something. Then he said to her, what do you desire? She said to him, will you say that these two, my sons, will be one on your right and one on your left in your kingdom? So footnote 186, will you is implied in the Aramaic grammar. The Peshitta simply reads say, and one on your right and one on your left. Verse 22, Yeshua answered and said, you do not know what you ask. Are you able to drink the cup that I am about to drink, or the immersion with which I will be immersed? They said to him, we are able. He said to them, you will drink my cup and be immersed with the same immersion that I am immersed, but that you should sit at my right and left is not mine to give, except to those for whom it is prepared by my Father. And when the 10 heard of it, they were angry at those two brothers. And Yeshua called to them and said to them, you know that the rulers of the Gentiles are their masters, and their nobles are in authority over them. Let it not be thus among you, but whoever among you desires to be great, let him be a servant. Footnote 187. Servant and minister are the same words. However, many pastors, rabbis, or ministers maintain very high materialistic lifestyles off the backs of the poor, which is clear evidence that they are hirelings, false leaders. Masked by their rich institutions, they have succumbed to the lusts of carnal flesh. These are an abomination to Mashiach and the kingdom of Elohim. Rather than servants, they are leeches. To follow Mashiach means to surrender to him and live for him in righteousness and equality, rather than lord it over others. Verse 27, and he who among you desires to be first, let him be a servant to you, just as the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give himself as a ransom for the sake of many. Footnote 188. Babylon and all false religion serves to enslave their followers. In due course of time, the vast majority of followers succumb to the Stockholm syndrome and give praise to the upline hierarchy who keep them impoverished. Mashiach, the highest form of justice and righteousness, does the very opposite. He serves, he releases the captives, he cherishes and uplifts the souls of mankind so that each soul has the opportunity to reach their full potential. Those blinded by religious hierarchies inadvertently become enemies of Mashiach. Good advice. Verse 29, And when Yeshua went out from Jericho, a large crowd were following him. And behold, two blind men were sitting on the side of the road. And when they heard that Yeshua was passing by, they gave a cry out and were saying, "Have mercy upon us, my master, the son of David." But the crowds were admonishing them to be quiet, but they raised their voice more and were saying, "Our master, the son of David, have mercy upon us." And Yeshua stopped and called to them and said, "What do you desire me to do for you?" They said to him, "Our master, that our eyes may be opened." And Yeshua had compassion on them and touched their eyes, and at once their eyes were opened, and they went and followed him. May our eyes be open as we deal with the world in this new year.